I'm sure that this is something that has been on the minds of everyone here. Which game is truly the definitive JJK Battleground game? With both sides having some good and bad arguments, I thought it'd be worth covering them all. Keep in mind, this is a definitive review and I probably won't be redoing this. Also, if you wish to share your own opinion or talk with me directly, join my Discord server or comment down below. But with that, let's talk about the game that came first, Sorcerer Battlegrounds. One thing I'm sure most can agree on is that Sorcerer Battlegrounds is pretty damn balanced. Now, I can hear you typing in the comments, scroll back up and listen. For a stun game, there are a lot of ways to approach fights and utilize moves that don't completely break the game. For example, Boogie Woogie. It's a great movement tool that can also be used effectively in combos if you know your timings. But keep in mind, it's punishable. Same thing with Infinity. It's a great tool during team fights and can also be used in combos. Keep in mind, also punishable. With the addition of general utility moves, it gives you a wider variety of choice during fights besides just M1s and dashes. That being said, a lot of the moves are designed to be in a 1v1 environment. By that I mean not much AoE. Sure, there are some things that do collateral damage, but they don't do anything that destructive such as Gorgeous Blue and Red. Another thing the game does well is how it deals with team fights and ganks. For example, if you're stunned in a 1v2, the game gives you hyper armor to move out of the team combo. Sure, this isn't perfect, but it doesn't disrupt the flow of the fight for either party. To add to this, if you land a grab, you won't be punished for landing it, since you have iframes in the middle of the move. The only exception is if the second person in the fight has a counter, in which case you just take a little bit of damage and stop the move. Also, due to the fact that the dashes are overall pretty fast, it allows you to do some gnarly movement to get the upper hand in fights, which is great. But why, you may ask? Simply, it raises the skill ceiling and allows you to apply pressure even if you are on a cooldown. Not only that, but some moves that knock back really far, you can catch up with to attempt to add even more pressure. Now, one thing that undeniably everyone can agree on is the quality of each character. Ranging from the models to the animations, they all look awesome. Greatest example is the VFX and the animations, like the Fire Arrow, Yuta's Black Flash, Toji's cutscene, and literally all the models from Megumi. You get the point. The thing that the devs never skip out on is the looks, which I think is a great thing for a Roblox game where your expectations are pretty damn low, honestly. But I think it's time we talk about the bad. Now, undeniably, the biggest downside is the additions and the balance changes. But no, I'm not talking about the forward dash change, that was actually good. Rather, what I'm talking about is how they balance existing and new characters. A good example for this is how they made Toji almost completely useless by changing one small thing, that was Rapid Shot. Due to the end lag of Rapid Shot being extremely slow, you can't confirm anything off of it aside from your final M1. And for whatever reason, it always makes your last M1 at the end of Rapid Shot. This basically leaves the base combo to be 30%. And if you thought you could do Playful Cloud on them while they were grounded, think again, because they can just ragdoll cancel. This small change has made Toji nigh useless. And it honestly makes me wonder if this even was tested in the first place. And dear god, if it was tested and they gave this the green light, reconsider your testers. And about the newest characters, well, they've basically lost their identity. Previously, all the characters had one utility move and 3 damaging ones. Recently, it has just been made 4 damaging ones and that's it. On one side with Megumi, you can argue that Nue is an utility move, but I never actually see it used like that. And on the other side we have Mahito, which is just all damaging moves. And now to the topic of communication. It barely is there. I will talk about what the devs have said, but they almost never talk. Recently, it has slightly improved with the addition of recent polls, but the changes without polls, they are almost never communicated on and leave some people confused. Aside from this, the community engagement is barely there. There are no community events, there are no Q&As, and there is no community manager. Worst of all, they added something to get the community even more engaged with the game modes, and there has been no community events with it, or any mentions of it. Obviously, this isn't something only the head dev can focus on, which makes me wonder why there isn't a community manager. I would also mention how slow the updates come out, but I went in depth about that in my previous video. But one thing I didn't talk about is the community. SPG has 2 types of communities. One is the clans and the second is the casuals. I think it's needless to say which side of that is the most brain damaged. Obviously, that's the side of clans. Because if you put a bunch of teenagers in a Lego game where your average opponent is a 10-year-old mobile warrior, of course the teenager will win. That's why they think they are the next Battleground messiah, and if they lose, then you're cheating, or they lagged, or something else stupid. Aside from that, there have been some really bad actors within the community, which I highly recommend you check out from my last video. But let's move on to Jujutsu Shenanigans and once more, start with the good. Undeniably, the best part of Jujutsu Shenanigans is the destruction, and honestly, it's the most casual fun I have ever had in a Roblox game. The best example for destruction is Akari and how much destruction that deals. I don't know why, but something in my monkey brain fires up whenever I run through a building to catch someone while demolishing everything. And on the same topic of Akari, the way it handles its ultimate is honestly awesome. The only gripe that I do have is that it's completely luck based. Like, it really sucks when you miss a roll 3 times in a row only to almost get it and then your domain breaks. Of course, Akari isn't the only one to treat its ultimate uniquely. Another great example is Mahito. Instead of just activating your ultimate instantly, you must perform a black flash with G. Also, one of the other great things is how they have managed to add an extra move with R. In my opinion, if it doesn't act as an independent damaging move, it's fine. I love it and it spices up the gameplay. Another great thing is how the devs have added their own types of hidden tech, like shooting a maximum output blue with a red to create a hollow nuke, or holding down a maximum output red to backshot for a black flash and much more. And for a complete 180 from SPG section, the community engagement and communication is the best I have ever seen for a Roblox game, especially at this size. From the Purple Guy TikToks to community events, it's all there and I genuinely love it. But finally, let's talk about the bad. One of the worst things in this game is the horrendous balance, specifically with the ultimates. Besides Akari, almost every single ultimate for each character practically one-shots. Gojo can remove 3/4 of your health with just 2 moves without hollow purple, by the way, and the domain expansion, it's a free win if you hit it. Sukuna has a 3/4 HP combo too, without a fire arrow as well. I won't name them one by one since almost every character has this aside from Akari and I guess maybe Megumi. But now to the part that enrages me the most, that being the runners. Due to the game having parkour and those stupid f***ing ladders, it makes it way easier to run away than to catch up. In a game that's mainly focused on brainless fun and killing others, this just absolutely ruins the pace, and sadly this isn't something that can be fixed by the developers. Another big problem is if you're playing alone and fight people, you will usually get ganked. And then there's the argument, oh well, get your friends on. Then think about this, not everyone has 3 people on standby to help in a gank. And if I need my friends on a standby like they're preparing for a war, that's dumb. Of course, I hear someone typing that it was meant to be played with friends anyways. Thing is, that's a stupid argument, because you can have fun on any game with just your friends. But if it's harder to have fun on it alone, then that's undeniably a downside. Even a game like Super Mario Party, which is literally designed to be played with friends, you can play that alone and still have fun. Meanwhile in Jujutsu Shenanigans, you will meet the 4-man gang squad ready to obliterate you with nothing that you can do about it, ruining your fun. Besides this, the way it handles gank prevention is just, in my opinion, dumb. It basically just ragdolls everyone around you if you're hit by more than one person. This is a problem since it just stops the flow of everything, which is kind of the point. However, this doesn't help if the enemies just juggle you in combos, and worst of all, most grabs don't have iframes, leading to just nothing you can do. Then what can you do in a fight? Well, you can just run away. And back to my previous point. But let's talk about the thing that ruins it for me, the community. Once more, the community goes into 2 different categories, clans and casuals. This time, however, it's different. The more cancerous side is the casual one. Of course, not all of them, but a lot of them. Due to the game being mainly inhabited by 10-year-old iPad kids, they will say the stupidest shit. Like a great example is this, where a guy commented about Jujutsu Shenanigans being better in a video talking about minors being dogs. Do I need to f***ing say more? Like, I'm genuinely convinced that some of these people are genuinely actual bot accounts that just comment on any video glazing Jujutsu Shenanigans. Also, overall, most of these people, if they can even form a sentence, they don't take criticism well, and they just say, opinion or something dumb. And again, I am not trying to generalize a big portion of the community, but they are the most vocal ones. Now let's finally move on to the final part, which is which game is definitively better. One thing you may have noticed throughout this video are the many similarities and the many differences. But let's talk about the ugly, which is that these games will never compare. Fundamentally, these games should be the same on a surface level, but at the end of the day, they are two different games with two different goals. If you enjoy a more competitive and honestly smoother experience, play Sorcerer Battlegrounds. If you enjoy a more chaotic and destructive experience, play Jujutsu Shenanigans. But one thing I really hope is that one day these games take notes from each other and try new things. Devs shouldn't be scared of quote-unquote copying each other, because imagine a game with Sorcerer Battlegrounds quality with Jujutsu Shenanigans creativity and destruction, or the other way around, whichever you please. At the end of the day, these devs are making the games for us, so don't discourage them by saying either game is worse, and let's push for a positive change. But with that, I'll see you in the next one.